Yo! Yes, everybody, we are back with another anime slash power scaling video. So about a year ago, almost to this day, I made a video talking about how I felt like power scaling has ruined the anime community. Now, this video is going to be a separate video on the topic. This kind of goes into honestly, the story narratives and how power scaling takes away from how people actually engage with those stories in a meaningful way. I just really want to make sure I didn't make another video on something I've already made. So that's just to get this out of the way right now. As someone that's been a fan of anime and manga for a very long time, as a really big fan of the shonen genre, I have seen a ton of anime and manga that have to do with superpowers and battles and fights and all these different things. And so I have seen my fair share of absolutely ludicrous opinions that just make no sense to people that just read too far deep into these things and they kind of ignore what the author is trying to say. Before we get too deep into this video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe. We are on our way to 20,000 subscribers, and I was sure to love having you around. Also, like goal for this video, 750 likes. I'm pretty sure we can do it. So the issue with power scaling is that power scaling isn't just a fan debate. Actually, the mangakas themselves actually feel this physically and forces them to write themselves into corners. With DBZ specifically, you have just absolutely insane escalation. Each and every single fight is just something more and more and more crazy. And Toriyama himself, rest in peace, even talked about how it's not that serious, man. Like, you go to OG Dragon Ball, where you have characters destroying the moon, even Piccolo destroying the moon in the early Saiyan saga, people are like, oh, going crazy. But then when you start getting to like Broly destroying the South Galaxy in one of the movies, it's like, isn't that crazy? I don't know. It just gets wild. It like Goku transforming to Super Saiyan 3, feeling it around the world. Then him and Beerus fighting is felt all across the multiverse. It's just absolutely crazy. There's endless god tiers, which is part of the reason I have such a big issue with Dragon Ball Super specifically. Black Frieza just makes my skin crawl. I hate Black Frieza. I'm tired of seeing Frieza as a villain for Dragon Ball #1. And you have this whole thing where Vegeta is training for Ultra Ego. Ultra Ego still sucks as a form, by the way. I will never change my opinion on that. None of you can convince me. But you have Vegeta training for Ultra Ego. You have Goku trying to train with Ultra Instinct, getting a new form of Ultra Instinct for some reason. True UI, garbage. And then Frieza comes in and one-shots the both of them at the tail end of the Granola arc. Like, what are we doing? What are we talking about? I don't like it. I don't like it, nor do I care for it. And you compare this to something like Hajime no Ippo, which is skill-based, right? Or Hunter x Hunter, which is strategic. Almost very still, obviously, the grandfather to Jujutsu Kaisen, where these strategic conditions, they play constantly. These characters are constantly trying to one-up each other. It's not just a raw cage match, right? It's not just sheer strength. And then coming into the second point, we have Burnout and shortened series lifespans. So power creep burns out series fairly early. I mean, fans will get numb when every arc has to top the last. I just talked about Dragon Ball. Even look at something like Jujutsu Kaisen. Now, while yes, I do absolutely love Jujutsu Kaisen, the power scaling, unfortunately, it is absurdly fast, and there's a gap. So the part of the reason why there's never going to be a sequel series, by the way, is because we've already seen the pinnacle of Jujutsu. We've already seen it. Like, we have Gojo, Sukuna. Besides them and Kenjaku and Yuta, there's really no other top tiers that you could do that would be in the realm of believability. And so because of that, it ends up cutting the series longevity in the long run. Look at something like Avatar: The Last Airbender, right? Obviously, Aang was a kid, but he was still a very skilled bender, and he would use his mind and his environment around him to maneuver and win fights. Even when he was exhausted, he was running circles around Azula as well as Zuko in a three-way Western fight. Compare this directly to something like One Piece, which also has slower, more creative progression. I say this, but then we also have hockey, where everybody and their mom has hockey and everybody's a hockey merchant, and devil fruit users pretty much aren't like as threatening as they used to be back in the day. But it did take a very, very, very long time for people with devil fruit powers to actually stop being as much of an issue as people that like were killer with hockey. So it makes sense. Honestly, this goes more towards industry sustainability, and when you start constantly thinking about power scaling and things like that, you start running the risk of, oh, what's next, instead of enjoying the meal in front of you. It's part of the reason why so many people have an issue with Kaguya at the end of Naruto, as well as the start of Boruto, where you have the Otsutsuki clan, or whatever, you know what I'm talking about, the white aliens. I think you have this thing where all of these enemies that start popping up in Boruto are stronger than end of OG Naruto Madara with the Sage 6 Pass powers. Like, what are we talking about? What is going on? It just gets outrageous. Now, granted, Naruto did have like 13 to 15 15, almost 20 years of power scaling at its disposal to use and to progress with, but it's still frustrating as a viewer. Coming into the third point, we have the flattening of characters. So in scaling obsessed manga, characters get reduced to feats instead of personalities. Look at somebody like Kashimo. Kashimo is a perfect example of this. Whenever people talk about Kashimo, they don't talk about his motivations, they don't talk about him as a character, they always talk about him in fights. He's always talked about in 1v1s, and you talk about, oh, he neg diffs, he clears, and all this stuff. People don't think about them as characters. Now, does that have to do with the actual writing of the character? Oh, absolutely. But I do think that not all of it is on the author. Some of it is how people engage with these mediums. I mean, Gohan's beast form in Dragon Ball is discussed more for his power rather than an emotional arc. People talk about, and that just goes to Dragon Ball in general, and I've talked about how I don't like Beast whatsoever. I think that in hindsight, Superhero is just kind of a bad movie. Production-wise, it's great, but the constant rehashing and the constant throwbacks, it kills the ingenuity for modern Dragon Ball to me. By the way, we're never gonna get any more modern Dragon Ball. I hate to say it. Not never, but we're probably looking at another like 15 to 10 year hiatus. That legal case that Shueisha and the Toei Dragon Ball room have going on, that's not moving anytime soon. I'm sorry. What a disrespectful end to Akira Toriyama's legacy, man. Good lord. Bro, the greed of corporate entities in Japan is just whoo. Power scaling is part of the reason why I love tight hand-to-hand fights in combat, man. I don't need a bunch of hacks. I don't need a bunch of these strategic conditions in my fights. I like one-on-one brawls. I like who is the better fighter, who has the better skill set, who has the better mind in the heat of battle. That's what's attractive to me when it comes to hand-to-hand combat. Because when you start getting into these hacks and beams and all that, it don't do it for me. I don't feel it for me. Then number 4, we come into the themes and stakes. When power scaling drives the narrative, themes and emotional weight get drowned out. And compare Spider-Man lifting rubble like in Spider-Man Freshman Year or compare Spider-Man lifting the rubble in one of his most popular issues and in Spider-Man Homecoming, and people are like, oh, well, he's had crazier feats, he stopped a train. People aren't thinking of that when they go to those kinds of movies. You look at this and you say, damn, this is a kid in a awful situation, and he has to step into the role that, yes, I am Spider-Man 100%. I can do this. He is gaining that level of confidence, and he knows he can do it, right? And then you compare this to something with all these City Buster explosions and all this crazy shit like God of High School. It's just like, what? Oh, God of High School is the worst I could compare this to. God of High School, you're adapting 100 chapters an episode. It wasn't 100 chapters an episode. It was crazy. It was like 30 to like 50. It was crazy. But we were adapting so much in an episode. The power escalation is going out the window. There was so much craziness going on at each and every single match in God of High School. I was just like, huh? The problem is with when you start escalating these fights higher and higher and higher and higher and higher, and it's why I'm really hesitant to start Gurren Lagann, is because these fights become empty spectacle. People stop caring when you start getting to multiversal, outerversal, just all this crazy bullshit that no one cares about. It's dumb, and it's not fun. Part of the reason why people are attracted to My Hero Academia is because Midoriya has weaknesses. He struggles. Well, yes, he's still crazy at the end of the series. I'm not gonna spoil it. He still is not perfect. He still struggles. Now, you do have manga that resists the trap. You have Chainsaw Man, where anybody can die at any time. Everybody is able to be on the chopping block. Like, obviously, you have the Denji's, I can't even spoil it for you, but you have the one form I'm not going to talk about for people that are not caught up on Chainsaw the manga. And they also have, again, Hunter x Hunter. And most importantly, you have Attack on Titan, where fear and politics matter more than power levels for the narrative. People aren't thinking like, oh, well, can this Titan beat this Titan? That's never what people talk about, and because of the series writing. So kudos to Isayama for actually not facilitating any of that in his own narrative. It's just all the Titans are a problem. Well, yes, there's some more intelligent than others. These are the themes that you need to focus on. Don't really worry about anything else. So kudos to Isayama. I appreciate it. It's just frustrating because modern readers are so different compared to how they were in the past. TikTok and YouTube with this whole versus battle culture makes new readers expect feats instead of actual narrative pieces and things to analyze and sit down to. And it's really unfortunate because I see a lot in the One Piece community now that I'm slowly getting in it, and all like my social media spyware algorithms know that I'm looking at One Piece. I see some just outlandish comparisons in the One Piece community, man. It's just, Ugh. Honestly, this shifts manga from storytelling to combat sports league, like NFL debates on Twitter. It's just toxic. It's cancerous. Would that make me the Stephen A. Smith of anime and YouTube? I'm about that. Honestly, power scaling is a fun fan activity, and it should never be treated as more than such. And it unfortunately is shaping the way modern manga is written. It kind of shortens lifespans, it flattens characters, and it's killing creativity. And the problem is every fight is about who's stronger, then what's the point of telling a story, right? Now, obviously, you do have some exceptions to this, but I get very scared about modern pieces of action. But unfortunately, just when it comes to modern action pieces and things like that, I do get very concerned about what the future holds. I really hope that some of these modern authors don't fall into the power scaling trap and feel the need to escalate. I hope they're able to comfortably tell their story and not have to worry about how can I make this more exciting for the next time. But that's just my personal opinion. Let me know what you guys think about how power scaling has impacted the anime and manga industry. I'm very curious to see what you guys think. It's been your boy Daffy, guys. Thank you guys so much for joining me on this video. Please make sure you leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you in my chair is squeaky the next video. Y'all take care, guys. Peace.